To terminate the filibuster. Everybody call John Thune at the Senate. He's the leader of the Republican Party, and tell him to get this stuff approved. Terminate the filibuster and approve everything. Because the Democrats are going to do it. The Democrats are going to terminate the filibuster as soon as they have a chance. And then they're going to approve Puerto Rico and D.C. as a state. They got 4 more senators. They're going to end up with 12 more congressmen. They're going to get like 40 electoral votes. If they are allowed to do that, by that time I'll be sitting home. And I'm not a big crier. I don't think you want to see me cry, you know? There are some people, they do very well when they cry. But you don't want to see me cry. But I may be crying when I'll be sitting home and I'll say I told them. They got to really terminate the filibuster, get everything approved right away. Because you're going to have a stoppage. You're going to have a stoppage in September. The Democrats won't approve everything. They become deranged, like deranged Jack Smith. Remember that deranged?
President Trump was elected to fix our elections. No mail voting. Vote on Election Day. And only let American citizens vote. Senator John Thune doesn't seem willing to fight to make that happen. Thune wants to put Democrats on the record. They support illegals voting in our elections. They're already on the record. They want illegals to vote. Call Senator Thune's office and tell him we want him to pass the Save America Act. Paid for by the Conservative Caucus.
Hello there, friends. Pull up a chair and make yourselves comfortable. It is so good to have you here with me today to share a few quiet moments before we get started on this wonderful story. If you enjoy our time together, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with your family and friends. It helps our little community grow, and I surely do appreciate it.
If you're not willing to sit your butt in a chair for days and weeks and months to pass the Save America Act, there are plenty of people who would be willing to do it. And that's what I call on them to do. Just sit there, just stay there, have the filibuster, and fight it out the way our framers intended.
We passed in the House the SAVE Act, the Save America Act. We sent over the NDAA. It had provisions of the Save America Act. John Thune literally has a multiple choice. And what he needs to do is the talking filibuster. So if you go to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, Dodd-Frank, for Pete's sake, they all used the talking filibuster to get across the finish line monumental, transformative pieces of legislation. That's what this is. We've got to secure our elections, and it's time for John Thune to do his freaking job.
Yeah, and yet he doesn't seem to want to do that. He doesn't want to come on this program. We've extended an invitation. The Speaker of the House has been a guest many times. President Trump has, but not John Thune. And I think one of the reasons why is we just ask the questions that people want to have answered. He went on Fox News. He said that there are 15 Republicans that are standing in the way of nuking the filibuster. I think we deserve to know who those individuals are. What say you?
Absolutely. So look, Mike Johnson, who's a friend of mine, he's the Speaker of the House. He often will put a piece of legislation on the House floor, put Republicans on the record, not sure whether or not it's going to pass. John Thune needs to do the exact same thing. And there's a historical precedent for him to use the talking filibuster, whether it takes 2 days, 2 weeks, or 2 months to get this passed. He can do it if he really wants to. I think at the end of the day, it's time for new leadership in the Senate. And what I put a poll out on X just recently that said if John Thune doesn't get the Save America Act passed in August, should he resign as leader? And overwhelmingly, it's like 95% of the voters, roughly 35,000 votes, said yes.
Okay, he's had it. Trump's had it with Senate Majority Leader John Thune.
Is his patience running out with Leader Thune?
His patience is running out. He wants to see as much of the Save America passed as possible by the August recess. He knows that's what the American people want to see passed. The American people elected overwhelmingly Republicans to lead not just this White House, but also the House and the Senate. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do its job too.
Yeah, the House passed it how many times? I mean, it keeps passing it. Well, Senator Thune hit back, saying, look, his hands are tied. Reporters saying that maybe Levitt or somebody else ought to get on the phone and get the votes, right? If There are Republicans that think they're gettable. Get on the phone. Well, we don't need this to turn into political posturing here, but we do need results, and we need them fast. Our election integrity is on the line. Here to discuss is Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor. All right, Ari, you know how Washington works. You know what happens and how it goes down when leadership wants something to happen. There's ways to muscle votes. There's ways to twist arms. I mean, there are arms scattered all over Capitol Hill from fights of issues that are important to leadership. So what's really going on here?
Well, it's a rebellion. I think it's a rebellion in part by senators who are not up for re-election or who were defeated from their primaries, and so they don't really have anything left in the game in Washington, D.C., so to speak. So the typical taxes that can be used against them are meaningless because they consider themselves free. Look, Laura, I think this needs to pass. The SAVE Act is good for America. It's the right thing to do. There's only one principled reason I can think to be against it, and that's the states' rights argument, which I'm not hearing them make. That elections should be left up to the states, not the federal government. I have some respect for that. But the SAVE Act is fundamental, and the administration is wise to keep the pressure on Congress to try to get this done.
And Lisa Murkowski from Alaska is one of the holdouts here. She wrote in the Wall Street Journal, Ari, that the legislation is, quote, too draconian and would cost voters in remote parts of Alaska to spend more than $1,000 to register. That seems like it can't be true. But your take on Murkowski trying to justify, she's feeling the heat. If she feels she has to write something in the Wall Street Journal, she's definitely feeling the heat from her own constituents in Alaska.
Well, it's very hard to be a Republican when the issue is a 90-10 for all the American people. When it's 90-10 for all the American people, for Republicans, it's basically 99-1. And so for them to take this stand really is just hard to understand. And I think that's why the White House is so frustrated by it. You know, if the issue is dictating to the states the terms of mail-in ballots, I can see the case being made that that should be a state-by-state issue. If the issue is we don't want non-citizens to vote in American elections, to me that's a pretty simple federal principle.
All right, Ari, thank you very much. And their talking points are always the same.
And frankly, I don't think we probably have the votes in the Senate among Republicans even to get on a talking filibuster. But I do think we have a possibility through budget reconciliation to get some of this done.
If you could go either way, are you, as leader, are you trying to work with the rest of the Senate to get it done?
We are, and I think, you know, we've had it up now. It was a pending business in the Senate for over 2 weeks, late February, early March. We had 5 votes on it. We voted on photo ID. We voted on photo ID and citizenship to register. We voted on the entire SAVE Act 2 different times, and we also voted on no boys and girls sports. So we've had 5 votes, portions of or all of the SAVE.
We'll stay here weekends and until we can get this passed, because we know this is important. Now, you and I talked last week about breaking this bill apart and doing one piece at a time. And as you know, last Monday night, I led our senators on the floor in pushing forward with just show a voter ID, that portion of the bill. So we're saying whatever it takes, if it is staying here, if it's breaking the bill in pieces, doing pieces one at a time, whatever we need to do to make certain that we pass the...
Support our police. We will pass the Save America Act to protect our sacred America. And all voters must show voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. And there will be no more mail-in ballot scams, especially in places just like this where it's so rampant. Except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel, we'll be very generous in that regard, but we have to stop it. There's no country in the world that has mail-in ballots like we do. No country in the world. You know why? Because it's inherently corrupt. And we will also enshrine in permanent law no men in women's sports and no transgender surgery for our children. And together with the help of patriots throughout New York State, New York, and right here, I love this place, and all across our land and all across our country, we will make America powerful again.
Folks, gather around and listen close, because what we are seeing right now in Washington is the kind of event that makes an old patriot's heart swell with pure pride. I am talking about the great and noble effort unfolding this very week, late July 2026. Right now, President Donald Trump is standing tall and strong, leading the charge for the America First values that built this great nation. The big news you have heard flying around today captures the bright fire of this moment. For a long time, there has been a giant roadblock in the Senate. It is an old rule called the 6-0 vote filibuster. Think of it like a huge, stubborn brick wall that stops good laws from passing, even when most of the country really wants them to pass. But today, that old establishment wall is finally falling down, facing a massive wave of hope and clear, honest voices from everyday citizens all across the country. Senator John Thune has made a historic choice. Realizing that the people truly want a new direction, he has respectfully stepped aside from his leadership spots. There is no anger, just a clear, peaceful choice to let the team come together. With Senator Thune stepping out of the way, President Trump and a fully united Republican Senate are taking control of the floor right this very minute. They are joining hands to officially end that old roadblock so they can push the America First agenda through for you and me. Let me paint the picture for you, the way it feels from right here at home. Picture an ordinary, beautiful American morning. Maybe you are sitting out on your front porch with a warm cup of coffee. Or maybe you're driving to work, watching the bright red, white, and blue flags wave in the gentle summer breeze. News comes across your radio that President Trump is once again calling out to the Senate to stop the endless delays. He is saying it plain and clear right from the Oval Office. He is telling the Senate to stay together, work hard, and pass the Save America Act. That is a wonderful law to protect our elections, making sure people show a simple photo ID to vote, just to keep things completely fair and honest. President Trump's words ring out strong and true. He is not whispering. He is leading, just like he has always done. Bold, direct, and completely focused on what is best for everyday folks. He cares deeply about people who work hard, who love their country, and who want safe neighborhoods, fair elections, and a government that actually listens to them. For months now, President Trump has been explaining that this old Senate rule was just a tool to stop good things from happening. We have seen it before. Great ideas for the people getting tangled up in confusing rules, while hardworking families struggle. But under President Trump's leadership as our 47th president, the tide has officially turned. He has the White House, the House, and the Senate majority, and he is using every bit of that strength to help us. Just this week, he has been working so hard, meeting with senators and reminding everyone that if we stand united, we can build a brighter, safer future. The old barriers that once seemed so solid are gently falling away under his steady leadership, and a new day of joyful unity is dawning right before our very eyes.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler. I am here outside of Senate Majority Leader Thune's Washington, D.C. office. And while we were filming a video, just had a beautiful family from Kansas come up and say, Scott, we must pass the Save America Act. And truly, I mean this in earnest. This is the single most important piece of legislation the American people want. It is country saving. And I've done my best to be diplomatic. I've done my best to reach across the aisle and work with members of Congress in order to pass legislation that 84% of Americans want. And yet here we are in May of 2026, and we still have yet to pass the Save America Act. And that's why it's time to play hardball. This Saturday, I ask you to defeat Senator Bill Cassidy. If Senate Majority Leader Thune is not going to give us what we want, then you take away his top ally. You take away what he has. Give us the Save America Act or lose your seats. And that's why on Tuesday, May 26th, we have a Texas election. I proudly endorsed Attorney General Ken Paxton. I ask for your vote for General Paxton. Defeat Senator John Cornyn. He voted for red flag laws. He promotes amnesty. He wants deportation relief. I'm so sorry, but it's time to go. Again, send a clear and decisive message to Senate Majority Leader Thune. If you do not pass what we want as the majority, the popular vote, then you are going to lose with meticulous precision, colleague after colleague, until you give us what we want. Peacefully. Game on.
Truth Social this morning about Leader John Thune. What's your relationship like with the Senate Majority Leader?
It's fine. He's got to get his job done. It's fine. I have a good relationship with John Thune. He's just got to get his job done. You got to get the Save America Act passed. Or better than that would be the filibuster. If you terminate the filibuster, everything happens. If you don't terminate the filibuster, only bad things will happen. If you don't terminate the filibuster, only bad things will happen.
But you don't want to see him replaced as leader?
I haven't even thought of it.
Maybe take a few extra days. Look, I mean no disrespect. I love John Thune. He's my leader. He's got a big brain. He's better looking than me. But I think he's just being too cautious. He wants to spend the rest of our time talking with Senator Schumer about shutting down government. And the Graham Plattner wing of the party, his party's not going to let Schumer agree with us. They already want to give Schumer a bathrobe, a popsicle, and an early bedtime and have him retire. I don't think Chuck can agree with us. I think he's going to shut down government.
I want to go back. You just said you wanted to move forward on what the House just started the process on. That would be a party line.
Ma'am.
That would be a party line vote. That would be Republicans jamming this thing through. And the SAVE Act, as you know, or even some version of it, is highly partisan, highly controversial. Bigger picture, isn't it going to hurt faith in our election process if a Republican-only policy to change how elections are run is rammed through 100 days?
By attaching it to FISA, which is what the president's looking for. Do you believe this is possible?
Well, why don't we try? Why don't we try and at least force people to vote against it? One of the things that sometimes frustrates me about the legislative process is that people will go into it saying, this isn't possible, therefore we're not even going to try. Well, let's actually see. Let's try it. And if it's not possible, then let the people put their name on it.
And while many senators have given up, Senator Rick Scott has not.
Can you imagine having a job, you get to leave at 2 o'clock on Thursdays, and you don't get fired? That's the U.S. Senate. So we leave on Thursdays, and you would think that must mean you got all your work done. Well, one thing we haven't gotten done is the Save America Act. Now, is it hard? Yeah, it's hard, but guess what? We work for you. The American public wants us to pass the Save America Act.
Joining me now, Florida Senator Rick Scott. Senator Scott, what's the solution here? Because you seem to think this is not dead in the water, that there may be a way forward for the Save America Act.
Well, you know what Republicans, Democrats, and Independents have in common this year? They all want voter ID for elections, and they all only want Americans to register to vote. I talked to President Trump about this yesterday. We all want, to get the Save America Act done. I've invited him to lunch on Wednesday to meet with Republican senators. What do? If we can't pass the whole thing, let's start taking sections. Let's do a vote just on voter ID. Let's do a vote on just you have to be American to register to vote. Maybe just to share voter rolls. We got to get this done. And so we all need to figure out how to come together. And if we have to stay in D.C. to get it done, let's stay in D.C. to get this done. This is important to secure these elections.
So you've invited President Trump to lunch. I know he deeply cares about the Save America Act.
Absolutely, we should stay here through August. We should keep going until we get it done. And look, it's a real press. Do we get 50 Republicans to stand together? I am fighting tooth and nail to make that happen.
John
John Thune has suggested that if the White House thinks that there are votes to pass the Save America Act, you should be picking up the phone.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Washington Examiner, sir. Could you be doing more to help that legislation pass?
Well, I do more. I got 3 congressmen, maybe 4, to settle, to send it to the Senate. We got the vote, as you know, in Congress. I got a call from Mike Johnson, who's fantastic. He's a fantastic speaker, one of the best I've ever seen, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best. He called. He said, we have problems with 3 or 4 people. Could you call them? I called them. Every one of them, after I called them, voted, and we got it passed up to the Senate. And I'd certainly be willing. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 people that are very difficult. A couple of them I put out of office, so I understand how it feels. I mean, they're doing the wrong thing. Look, who cannot approve voter ID? Who cannot approve proof of citizenship? Who cannot approve funding military when you're winning a war? And what are you supposed to do, stop fighting? We're winning a war by a lot. We're talking to them right now. They're willing to do things that they would have never done. Other presidents should have done this a long time ago. They say 47, but now it's actually 50 years. We've been saying 47 for 3 years. So it's 50 years. For 50 years, they should have done it. But who wouldn't approve voter ID? And that's photo ID. Who wouldn't approve proof of citizenship? And the Democrats don't want it because they cheat. But no Republican should put us in a position where they don't approve something like that. Yeah, please.
And then earlier today...
As we sit here right now, sharing this time together, I want you to really think about what this great change in Washington means for real, everyday families. Just down the street from my house, there is a sweet young couple who recently bought their very first home. They are working so hard, sometimes taking on extra jobs just to pay the bills and take care of their beautiful little ones. They want to raise their children in a country where every single vote truly counts and where their future is safe and secure. They were telling me just the other day how inspired they feel watching President Trump fight for something called the Save America Act. It is a simple, good idea, really. It just means showing a clear photo ID when you go to vote, making sure our elections are as fair and honest as possible so no one can ever cheat the system. The young husband looked at me, his voice steady and full of bright hope, and said, "It is just common sense. President Trump gets it, and he is not letting those old, broken ways hold our family back anymore." And it is not just the young folks feeling this wonderful breeze of change. Across town, there is a kind, retired factory worker. He has seen tough times when plants had to close their doors and could. Jobs went far away, but he shared with me how President Trump's vision for strong borders and making fair trades with other countries has already started bringing some of those factories back to life. This big fight in the Senate right now is the next step, my good friend told me over a warm cup of coffee. Once they clear that old roadblock out of the way, the America First agenda can roll full steam ahead. We will have our own energy, safer streets for our kids to play on, and a government that finally puts us first. This beautiful momentum for doing the right thing has been building up steadily all through this warm July. And the most wonderful part is that President Trump is not standing alone. Good, honest senators are rallying together right this very minute. Instead of packing their bags for a long summer vacation, they are calling on everyone to stay right there in the Capitol and do the hard work you and I elected them to do. The everyday people are fired up too. You can hear the cheerful chatter at the local diners, at joyful church potlucks, and see it in all the letters being sent to Washington. The message from the people is clear and kind. We have waited long enough. For many generations, that old 6-0 vote filibuster rule was supposed to protect good conversations, but too often it was just used as a giant stop sign to block the hopes of the people. Now, the impact of finally clearing that path is being felt everywhere. Out in the golden heartland, our hardworking farmers can see a clear road to better days. Families worried about paying for groceries know that ending. This long delay means our leaders can finally deliver real tax relief and keep our borders safe. One dear grandmother I know who is bravely raising her little grandchildren through some tough times smiled at me and said, "President Trump just doesn't quit. When he sets his mind to helping us, you feel safer knowing he is in the fight." It truly feels like our whole country is waking up again.
The Republicans are trying to make good on their legislative agenda by passing a batch of measures before their annual summer recess. This includes the Save America Act and even a plan to avoid a fall government shutdown. Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram explains the summertime sprint from Capitol Hill. Good evening, Chad.
Brett, good evening. The House just okayed $95 billion for the Pentagon and the war in Iran. It's part of a hectic day on the House floor. The House of Representatives trying to cure the legislative summertime blues.
Save America Act.
Stock Trading Act.
The Republican Reconciliation 3.0.
The NDAA.
The House approved a stopgap bill to avoid a government shutdown this fall.
Let's just take this off the table. Let's get this through the election.
The House sending the Senate a budget framework to pay for the conflict in Iran, tacking on the Save America Act. But there's GOP skepticism.
I'm not 100% convinced that the SAVE language is going to be held solid through the Senate.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune may not even tackle the budget blueprint until September.
We could pull that budget resolution passed by the House and use it to fund government.
That package is immune to filibusters. Republicans could then cut Democrats out of the funding process.
It's very ominous. The reconciliation process is an indication of failure on the part of the institution.
Republicans hope the threat compels Democrats to help avoid a fall government shutdown.
I think Leader Thune believes he'll have some reasonable Democrats in the Senate that will assist.
The House also approving a plan barring members from trading stocks.
If you want to day trade, there's a place for that. It's called Wall Street.
But banning stock trades isn't in the mix in the Senate. That frustrates voters.
They're not going to feel confident in this institution if they think that there's members of Congress can actively trade stocks. It's totally insane to me.
But little is solved. There's no agreement between the chambers on election security or government funding. The autumn chill of a shutdown could reveal that it was not a productive summer, but a cruel summer. Brett?
Chad Pergram, live on Capitol Hill. Chad, thanks. Stocks were down today as oil prices.
So let's hear from voters who are on the streets first, and then we'll come back to our voters' voices. Watch this.
That we keep the House and the Senate is the most important thing to me, because I feel that our country is going to go downhill if Trump doesn't continue to be able to go forward with his policies. I know he's not perfect, but I think he's doing a lot of good.
Voter ID is just number one for me. You know, keeping our elections fair, free. Everyone who should be able to vote is allowed to vote, and if you're not, then you shouldn't. That's as simple as, I can make that.
Not that there's a big difference between the Democratic and the Republican Party, but I'd love the pendulum to swing the other way to see what the Democrats can do with control of the House and the Senate.
If the Dems take over in November, it's going to be 2 years of impeachment and all the other nonsense, and nothing's going to happen.
International relations, I wish we could establish better relationships across the world, because we need to be the models of peace. The U.S. can be and has been the model of peace and can be again.
I'm all for legal immigration. I'm all for helping people. I love that. But when you come here illegally and work around our laws to benefit yourself at the expense of American citizens, I just have a real problem with that.
Well, sure. To answer your first question, I don't know Mr. Pressler, but if he had a ticket, they should have allowed him in. Duh. Number two, as to the SAVE Act, I think we ought to pass it. The SAVE Act, to me, I'm a co-sponsor. It means two things. It means that to vote in America, you have to prove you are who you say you are to be able to vote. You have to have an ID at the polls, and you have to be an American citizen. And number two, It means that we ought to go back to having an election day, not an election month. We need to know who the winner is on election night. I would continue to try to pass the SAVE Act. We've tried, I think, 4 times. I offered it as an amendment in our last reconciliation vote-a-rama. I only got 47 votes. I have encouraged Senator Thune to put the SAVE Act on the FISA bill, which is a must-pass bill. Hope he does that when we get back. I'm fully supportive of what Mike wants to do. We've tried it once, but I'm willing to try it again, and that is Mike wants to put the bill on the floor, and then we all talk about it, and supposedly at some point the Democrats will give in. You can be your own judge of whether that'll happen or not. Final point, I guess, Senator Mike Johnson, my friend who's Speaker of the House, just announced he wants to try it again through reconciliation. I support that. I think that I think it's possible if we get some really big legal brains to draft it so that all or a substantial portion of it could pass the Byrd test.
John Thune is suggesting that if the White House thinks that there are votes to pass the Save America Act, you should be picking up the phone.
Who are you with?
I'm with the Washington Examiner, sir. Could you be doing more to help that legislation pass?
Well, I do more. I got 3 congressmen, maybe 4, to settle, to send it to the Senate. We got the vote, as you know, in Congress. I got a call from Mike Johnson, who's fantastic. He's a fantastic speaker, one of the best I've ever seen, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best. He called. He said, we have problems with 3 or 4 people. Could you call them? I called them. Every one of them, after I called them, voted, and we got it passed up to the Senate. And I'd certainly be willing. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 people that are very difficult. A couple of them I put out of office, so I understand how it feels. I mean, they're doing the wrong thing. Look, who cannot approve voter ID? Who cannot approve proof of citizenship? Who cannot approve funding military when you're winning a war? And what are you supposed to do, stop fighting? We're winning a war by a lot. We're talking to them right now. They're willing to do things that they would have never done. Other presidents should have done this a long time ago. They say 47, but now it's actually 50 years. We've been saying 47 for 3 years. So it's 50 years. For 50 years, they should have done it. But who wouldn't approve voter ID? And that's photo ID. Who wouldn't approve proof of citizenship? And the Democrats don't want it because they cheat. But no Republican should put us in a position where they don't approve something like that. Yeah, please.
And then earlier today...
And the budget resolution that unlocks our 3rd reconciliation bill, which, of course, is Republicans' best shot to get as much of the Save America Act into law as possible, in addition to funding our national defense and our farmers. Republicans support our troops, our farmers, and election security. We're the only team in Washington that does. Many of you doubted our success. Many of you standing around me in the Skaggle right now said, let me read you a sample of the headlines. Quote, House Republicans face final week gauntlet. Another said, Johnson's rocky sprint to recess. Another said it was Johnson's make or break week. Despite nearly every Democrat voting against everything I just read you, House Republicans delivered. Now, many of you like to say that major legislating can't happen in an election year. We just proved you wrong. This week, we continue to deliver for the people, and we're going to continue that streak all the way through the end of this year and into the next Congress. We're increasingly confident that we will hold and grow this majority in the House. We must, because you're seeing a demonstration of the 2 sides, the divergent views for America.
Right now, as we sit here together in this quiet moment, President Trump's strength is shining through like a bright ray of sunshine after a long storm. He is not just asking politely for things to get better. He is demanding it because he knows exactly how much it matters to families like yours and mine. He says it so perfectly. If we finally end this old filibuster rule today, we can pass all the wonderful things we have dreamed of for our lovely country. You can hear the beautiful sound of hope everywhere this afternoon. A hardworking truck driver I know says this big push makes him feel sure that our elections will finally be safe and true. A local shop owner is smiling today because she knows a united Senate means we can build more things right here at home. And a brave veteran, someone who stood up to protect our beautiful flag, told me with a tear in his eye how glad he is that President Trump always remembers our troops and keeps America strong, no matter what old rules try to stand in his way. This very moment, the barriers that once seemed so tough are completely melting away under that relentless, caring leadership. Right now, on the Senate floor, you can almost feel the gentle breeze of freedom. Our Republican senators are rolling up their sleeves and working together like a wonderful, happy family. With Senator Thune gracefully stepping aside to let this beautiful unity happen, the path is completely clear. They are shaking hands and making a promise to you and me that they are united around simple, beautiful ideas. Elections we can always trust, a government that does not waste our hard-earned money, and a future where hardworking Americans are always put first. You can feel the difference in the air today. Pride is rising up, hope is growing tall, and there is a deep, warm feeling that our country is finally moving in the right direction. Friends, I have lived a long time. I have watched many leaders come and go, but I have never seen one match the clear vision and the deep, brave love for this country that our 45th and 47th president has. He sees the big, beautiful picture. He wants to protect our vote, secure our borders, bring back our good jobs, and clear away any dusty old rules that slow it all down. As this historic day unfolds, right before our very eyes, the message from the quiet heartland of America is loud and clear. We stand together. We back this wonderful America First vision. We will keep pushing forward with kindness and strength until the will of the people is truly heard. That is how we keep this lovely nation strong, completely free, and true to the promises made by our founders so long ago. May God bless President Trump, and may God bless the United States of America. I truly believe our very best days are still ahead of us, all because leaders like him absolutely refuse to quit on us. Well, my dear friends, it has been a true joy sharing this wonderful moment of history with you today. If this story warmed your heart and gave you a bright spark of hope for our beautiful country, I would be so honored if you would subscribe to our channel. Please give this video a gentle like and share it with your loved ones so they can feel the hope too. Until next time, take care of yourselves, love your neighbors, and always keep the faith